So this will be very interactive. First question, what was your last search online? And what was your purpose for the search? Was it personal, for personal growth? Or is it because of work? Or because you're in graduate school? Or because you want to know the latest announcement from the government? So ano yung last search nyo? Can you type in the chat? All right. Academic. Meron bang ano diyan, yung nag-add to cart 'no, before this webinar? Lagi daw may online library. Okay, watching, correct spelling. Now for the lesson, so academic. Yan. Alright, thank you. Transport strike. Lotto result last night. Talaga ba? Personal. Parang ang galing naman ng mga participants natin. Supra-segmental worksheets. Yan. Okay, thank you. So, yan yung ating check-in. Wow! Si Miss Christy, Zumba daw. Zumba. Yan. Okay. Bakit? SOS, hindi ko ma-move yung slides ko. Paano? Sorry po. Okay. So, the title is Reignite, no? Helping reluctant readers to find their motivation spark. And in relation to your comments, no? So, you realize that you read something because you have a purpose. You have and so that purpose motivates you, and this is the logo of the movement that I'm starting this year. And so far I have trained about 300 plus 1,200, so that will be 1,500, and my goal at the end of this year is 10,000. So let's go to the next one. The learning outcomes will be just three, no? 3 by 3. 3 shifts in reading literacy, 3 strategies for motivating struggling readers, and reflect on being a reading literacy leader in your own classroom. Next slide will be, what are the 3 shifts, no? Reading literacy because of technology. Next slide. So, going back to your answers. Okay, so evolving technologies have rapidly changed the ways in which people read. So, some of you use Google. Can you please type in the chat? What did you use? Did you use Google? Did you use TikTok? Did you use YouTube? Did you use what else? Pinterest? Did you use Facebook, etc.? So may I see in the chat what technology or app did you use to read? So did you, Mozilla, you use Google, YouTube. Rapidly change the ways in which people read and exchange information. So how do you exchange information? I noticed that people do not text me anymore. They just send messages through FB Messenger, no? So, is gano'n din ba kayo? No, FB Messenger. Oy, I remember I have, my friend has twins, no? They're like 10, 11. So sabi nila, ano magkita-kita daw sila sa Discord. Sabi ko, grabe, itong mga bata na to nasa Discord. Ako hindi pa. Meron bang nandyan si Arzeni ay nasa Discord na. Iba naman talaga ang mga millennials. Okay, thank you for interacting. So, it's true, no, that evolving technologies have rapidly changed the ways in which people read and exchange information both at home and in the workplace. Hindi ko alam kung napansin niyo na kung sino yung may mga anak na yung instead na kausapin yung anak face-to-face o tawagin yung anak face-to-face, mini-message, no? Ako yung, albawa, nasa taas yung anak ko, mini-message ko, anak, mag-pray na tayo. Yan. Oy, merong naka-telegram, si Haven. Yep. Call and text. Oh, ko call and text. All right. Next will be changes in the nature of reading literacy. No, the automation of routine jobs is created. Oo nga, sabi niya, yung mga children daw Discord. Okay, anyway. So, the automation of routine jobs has created demand for people who can adapt to quickly changing context and who can find and learn from diverse sources of information. A long time ago, when people worked in factories, ito yung first no, industrial revolution, people did not need a lot of literacy skills. No basic lang, no basic math, basic reading, basic writing. But now, because of automation of routine jobs, so robots are taking the jobs of factory workers o yung mga trabaho na hindi kailangan mag-isip, then tayo rin no kailangan mag-adapt tayo, and then we need no to find or learn how to find diverse sources of information. I took my let a few years ago, and meron akong hard copy, pero pag napapagod na ako, pupunta ako sa YouTube, and then ano pa ba? So may mga websites, infographics, no? Infographics. And so the implication of this one is that because there are changes in terms of text, no, in terms of channels, in terms of the tasks and purposes for readings, then these are some of the factors that need or are changing also the nature of reading literacy in our own classrooms. Next will be uh, this research was conducted by McKinsey and Company in 2021, and they wanted to find out the skills that matter in the future. McKinsey and Company is a global think tank that even Ayala conglomerate, secret lang po, is paying them no for sessions and millions. So they Ayala conglomerate pays them millions. So what are the skills and in relation to reading? Next will be, all right. So these are some examples of cognitive skills, and you will see that to succeed in the future world of work, they should be able to seek relevant information. They also need to ask the right questions, the ability to synthesize messages, the ability to translate knowledge to different contexts, adopt a different perspective, ability to learn, have agile thinking, and you will see that almost all of these no cognitive skills are related to reading, no? Kaya dapat mag-isip ng activity na mag-e-enjoy sila. Thanks, Miss Alma. Next slide. So what is reading literacy as opposed to reading comprehension? Please take note, take a screenshot, record, because this is very important. The PISA definition, where our students rank the lowest, defines reading literacy as an individual's capacity to understand. So that means to comprehend, but also it's the ability to use. So how do you use that information about transport strike? To evaluate. For example, is this a good source? No? Ito ba ay binobola lang ba ako? Is this a reliable source? Is it a recent source? So usually, di ba binabasa natin yung walang pasok. Walang pasok, and then makikita natin, ay, 2021 pa pala yun. No? The ability to reflect on and engage with text. when we studied, no, my mentee studied the DepEd learning outcomes or learning competencies with the PISA learning framework, reading framework, he found that the reflection mostly focuses on reflecting on literature. But reading literacy also means reflecting and engaging. For example, so do I agree with what this person is saying? Parang may kulang, no? Parang hindi ako naniniwala, no? No? So ability to reflect and engage, no? Do you do that? No, para nakikipagtalo ba kayo habang binabasa niyo yung isang post sa FB page, ano? Or develop one's knowledge and potential and participate in society. In short, when we read, the ultimate goal, no, is for us to achieve a particular goal. You said personal, no, personal growth, academic for school, for work, for public, no, to participate in society. And if you look at this, no, my favorite is to develop one's potential and participate in society. Okay, so thank you for engaging. Next will be so 21st century readers developing literacy skills in the digital world. So in this video, so we will play this video. In this video, the director of OECD is going to tell us the result of the test. And this is global, all right? So let's watch this short video.
Over 10 million students represented in PISA's latest global assessment were not able to complete even the most basic reading tasks, requiring the kind of reading skills you'd normally master by the age of 10. And just 1 in 10 students in the OECD area were able to distinguish between fact and opinion based on implicit cues, which is not easy, but which is what the digital world around us is all about. And there has been no real improvement in learning outcomes over the last decade, even though expenditure on schooling rose by more than 15% in the OECD area. You might want to switch to another channel right about now. Impossible to change anything as big, as complex and entrenched in vested interests as education. But keep watching. Why? In the Chinese provinces, Beijing, Shanghai, Jiangsu, Zhejiang, which came out on top in PISA, the 10% socially most disadvantaged students showed better reading skills than the average student in the OECD area. And they did as well as the 10% most advantaged students in some of those countries. Also, many of today's highest performing education systems have only recently attained their top positions. Estonia steadily advanced to the top among OECD countries, despite the fact that its expenditure per student ranks about 30% lower than the OECD average. Portugal rose to the OECD average level despite being severely hit by the financial crisis. And also some low-performing countries saw remarkable improvements. Think of Albania, Moldova, Peru, or Qatar. Turkey's improvement may look somewhat less impressive, but Turkey was able to double the share of 15-year-olds enrolled in school, from 36 to 73% between 2003 and 2018 alone. Sweden showed an improving trend since 2012 that reversed earlier declines. PISA always devotes a lot of attention to social inclusion. The reason for that is very simple. Children from wealthier families will always find open doors to a successful life. But children from poor families have often just one single chance in life, and that is a good school that gives them the opportunity to develop their potential. And those who miss that boat rarely catch up, because later education opportunities in life tend to reinforce early education outcomes. And the reality is that in many countries, the zip code still remains a powerful predictor for the success of students and schools. So countries need to work harder to attract the most talented teachers to the most challenging classrooms. In France, in Germany, Hungary, Israel, Peru, and the Slovak Republic, the gap in reading between the 10% most advantaged and the 10% most disadvantaged students was equivalent to well over 4 school years of schooling. But again, the achievement gap varies hugely across countries. In some countries, we can barely see performance differences among students and schools from wealthy and poor backgrounds. And in the same vein, the world is no longer divided between rich and well-educated nations and poor and badly educated ones. That should give us hope. We also need to pay more attention to social and emotional outcomes and career aspirations. Think about gender. Most school systems have done well in helping boys and girls achieve equally well in math and science. But the share of boys who want to work in information technology related jobs is 7 times larger than the share of girls. And more than 1 in 4 boys said they expect to work as an engineer or science professional, while fewer than 1 in 6 girls said so, even when boys and girls did similarly well on the science PISA test. PISA also shows that disadvantaged students tend to hold lower career ambitions even when they perform equally well than their privileged peers. Only in a few countries, Canada, Chile, Korea, Singapore, Ukraine, and the United States are good examples here, where students' educational expectations both ambitious and aligned with their academic performance. So yes, the challenges are tough, but PISA shows lots of examples where schools and education systems address those challenges successfully. The task for policy and practice is not to make the impossible possible, but simply to make the possible attainable.
What's your takeaway from that video? Let us make the impossible possible. How about you? Can you please type in the chat? What is your takeaway from the video? Yan, magpatuloy ng pagtuturo ng may pagmamahal. No? Make the impossible attainable. Yes. Being critical at what you are reading. Yes. Okay, what are other your takeaways? So, he said something about funding. No, funding. Did you hear that part? Is it does funding affect, for example, performance? Yes, no, there are no barriers to achievement. Thank you so much, John. True. No, there are so the teachers play a big role, yes. No? And then we notice that even countries, no, third world countries are able to achieve the goals of reading if the teachers are key factors. So next slide will be reading. So funding, yeah, that's true. No, so reading in a digital world requires. So what are so in a nutshell, reading has changed because of technology. So now we read in the digital world. In fact, I love book sale. No, sobrang ang dami ko na nabili, no? But I noticed that I have stopped reading physical books because I read mostly through my gadget, and so I am donating some of my books. So reading the digital world requires evaluating quality and validity of different sources. So while you are reading up, for example, or reading literacy, you want to see what people are saying and you are evaluating the quality. Navigating through ambiguity. Di ko alam kayo ba yun, no? Lahat yung 'pag may nire-research kayo parang 10 yung tabs na nakabukas. Tapos sobrang na-o-overwhelm na 'no, sa dami ng information. So that's still 'no, part of the skill, the ability to navigate through ambiguity 'no. Parang kahapon kahapon ba 'yun or the other day nag-panel kami sa isang defense tapos parang ang dami-dami niyang gustong ilagay dun sa kanyang dissertation 'no. Sabi namin, kailangan mag-focus ka lang sa isa. Reading in digital world also requires distinguishing between facts and opinions. I don't know if you notice in Facebook, sometimes you read the post and it seems like it's from someone you know, no? Ito bumili daw siya ng relo, ganyan. Ayun pala, sponsored content pala siya. And finally, reading in the digital world requires continuously constructing knowledge. Like, let's go, if you are in graduate school or when you were in school, you notice like, as you read, you are constructing knowledge about reading. As you read, as you attend, no, as you attend webinars, your definition of reading literacy also enhances your pedagogy, etc. So please take note that these are the skills that our students need to develop, not just to comprehend. No, not just to comprehend. So evaluate the quality and validity, navigate through ambiguity, distinguish facts from opinions, and construct knowledge. And next, so the three shifts are the following. From traditional reading, such as reading comprehension, I remember there was there's a workbook daw, no, nakalagay, the egg is on the bed. Parang, ngayon ba magbabasa ka ba nun? The egg is on the bed. Bakit? Diba? No? So it's not just comprehension, it's not just decoding, but reading literacy, meaning it's students should have like know that they have a purpose for reading, should be able to evaluate, and should use reading to develop their full potential. I remember in church, there's this boy who lived in a, ano ba to, yung may dagat, no? And very poor family. Um, but he really was, he's not really very bright, no? But he wanted to achieve his goal, no? Yung ba iahon sa hirap ang kanyang pamilya. So nagsikap talaga siya. So let's think of that, let's think of that mission. The mission that we want our students to develop reading literacy. Let's stop thinking na, ay, okay, kasi hindi mababa siya sa PhilErie, hindi na, no? But of course, we need to look at data, but that's our ultimate goal for students to be able to reach their full potential para maiahon naman nila yung buhay nila, yung pamilya nila. From reading comprehension to purposeful reading, that you read because you have a personal, you have an academic goal, you have an occupational goal, you have a goal to participate in society. No. So I would like you to type in the chat, what is one implication to reading literacy in your school? Whether you are a reading teacher or not, what is one implication to reading literacy in your school in terms of, number one, type in the chat, in terms of choice of materials. In terms of choice of materials. Can you type in the chat? Yes, Miss Christie, traditional reading used henny penny, but now there are lots. Yes, sa public po, may ganito, brigada pagbasa. Ay sobrang helpful po, no? Hindi lang para sa... Judy, thank you so much for that. Make a program for every barangay. I agree with you. Sino yung nagsabi nun? Alma, Lawagan. Yes, materials are not up to date. Yes, thank you so much. What is the implication of these three shifts to the assessment of tasks or creating assessment tasks? Yes, Ms. Zandi, materials should be appropriate to the reading level of students. Choice of materials meaning not just printed, but PISA, for example, uses blogs, pati yung chat, no? Pati yung anong tawag doon, forum, no? Forum, infographics, ano pa ba? Charts, Facebook post, Instagram post, ano pa ba? Ano pa ba? Yeah, authentic. Thank you. No? Thank you. Assessment task. Okay, what about the changes or implications of these three shifts to assessment tasks? Yes, they need to be given a chance to choose. Yes. Reading like the use of messenger. Meron akong apo sa pamangkin na hindi ko alam kung anong dahilan, but 40 na ba siya? Ayaw niya nang pumasok. Ayaw niya nang pumasok. Pero hindi ko masasabi na non-reader siya kasi nakakapagbasa siya, nakakapag-text siya. No? Yan. So contextualize. Thank you so much. And what is one implication to the literacy in your school in terms of purpose for reading? Yes, thank you. Using localized materials. Yes. Differentiated. Wow, thank you. Reading drills. Yes, to remedial reading. So what is the purpose of reading? Or can you type in the chat? If reading, if the shift is purposeful reading, so what do we do with our assessment? Kasi ganito yung traditional eh. Read, answer. Ano ba dapat? No, what is the shift that should happen? Can you type in the chat? What is the shift that should happen when we prepare assessment, when we prepare, like, to focus on purpose for reading? Purpose. Oh, mas lumawak yung kaalaman. No? Yeah. Remember yung purpose na academic. No, you want to succeed. No? So, yung enjoyment, yes, personal yan. No? We want them for academic or personal. I want to grow or learn more how to create better videos. No? So, in a nutshell, the implication is that when we prepare assessment tasks, we need to focus on real-world reasons, real-world purpose. No? Bakit kailangan pag-aralan tong science na to, tong experiment na to? Kasi pag nagluto ka, no, ganyan. Right? Thank you so much. Next will be, so now that we are done with the three shifts, now we go to the three strategies. Next slide will be, insights from research. Next slide will be, what does research say? So one is that motivational predictors of struggling readers, it's not just their language. Findings highlight the importance of including motivational variables in understanding sources of individual differences for struggling readers. What are these motivational predictors? May motivation pala na involved. Next slide will be, so the motivational variable is self-efficacy. Simply put, ito yon na sinasabi ko sa sarili ko na kaya ko. Nung nagka-traumatic experience ako sa math nung 3rd grade ako na hindi ko masagutan yung multiplication table, yung ganun, yung flashcard, tapos apunta ako sa row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. Tapos totoo yun, no? Nandun ako sa row 4, di ba ganun yun? Bobo sa row 4, tabi ng basurahan, ako yun. And so that affected my self-efficacy for math. So sinasabi ko lagi sa sarili ko, ang hirap, hindi ko kaya. No? So always remember yung self-efficacy, you believe that you can do, you can understand, na kaya mo. No? Next will be, next slide. Self-efficacy is defined as one's perceived capabilities for learning. Kaya kong matuto. Hindi lang kaya ko. Kaya kong sagutan itong algebra. Kaya kong gawin itong experiment. It is not surprising that many struggling readers have low self-efficacy, no? Hindi ko kaya bumasa, mahirap po, teacher, no? They believe that they lack the ability to succeed. And so some of our students drop. Hindi ko naman kaya na yan, nahihirapan na ako, sayang lang yung oras ko. Consequently, they tend to avoid academics and give up quickly when difficulties arise. So, disengagement, may wall na, no? Okay, next will be, so remember self-efficacy, but how to develop? Okay, how to develop? So according to Wenzel and Miere, pursue proximal and specific learning goals. So sa mga bata, O sige, no? So halimbawa, si Manilesa, yung goal natin dito napakasimple lang. Basahin lang natin yung instruction. Exposing children to social models. So halimbawa, ikaw na dati sa math mahina ka, no, share mo lang, no, yung stories na yon. Providing students with performance and attributional feedback. Wow, Sheila! Nagawa mo, na nabasa mo yung instruction at naintindihan mo. Next step will be this, no? Ano yun? Okay, wait, balik tayo, Ken. Teach students to use learning strategies. Paano ko na-memorize yung multiplication table? I created my own system to memorize, particularly yung table 9. No? Make students having learners verbalize strategies while they apply them. So pag nag-multiply, pag ganito, no? So sabi mo, ano yung pumapasok sa isip mo? Making students rewards contingent on their learning progress. So, for example, ikaw nabasa mo yung instruction, yan. So, meron kang reward. Having students self-monitor and evaluate. So, hindi lang tayo teacher ang nagsasabi, no? Alright. So, next slide. So, motivational variable, achievement goal. May tatlong, so yung first variable, self-efficacy, at may mga paraan, no, para ma-develop yon. And then, the next motivational variable is achievement goal. Yan. So, students use more effective learning strategies, are creative when performing their school tasks, adhere better to challenges, and believe that good performance is achieved through their effort, increasingly seek their intellectual development. When they focus on learning goal, gusto ko po talaga teacher matutong magbasa na maintindihan ko, no? Next slide. Performance approach. Ito naman yung mga students na gusto nila, ay, mas magaling ako. No? So, parang gusto ko sumikat. At their goal ay, next slide, performance avoidance. Meron din palang goal na ganyan. Students guided by performance avoidance goal tend to avoid activities that demonstrate their disability, preferring to perform tasks within their proficiency, with their main fear being exposed. So, can you type in the chat what's your takeaway, no? That there are motivational variables for student success. What is your main takeaway? So, from Alfie, provide effective feedback on reading progress can build confidence. Thank you, Alfie, Polaris Bill. As a future, the most important thing to learn is to motivate and think positive. Yes, thank you. Yan. Okay. So, take note, no, that there are 3 goals and we need to help students understand ano ba talaga yung goal mo, learning goal ba talaga, performance avoidance ba, or gusto mo sumikat. Yan, no? Next slide. Now, research on early academic skills, that reading, literacy, and math are the most significant predictors of future academic achievement. So, let us stop mass promotion, no? So, dapat kinder pa lang, no? Marunong na talagang magbasa. Next slide. What are your key takeaways from this, from insights, diba? This segment is about insights from research. Yeah, provide feedback. But it's not just yung sa research nakita nila, hindi yung ang galing-galing mo talaga, no? But the feedback that says saan ka magaling, no? Ang galing mo gumawa ng lab report, no? Ang galing mong basahin yung instructions. Yan, no? Very specific. The environment should be the first motivation. Yes, focus on what I love what Julia Marcos said, teacher Julia. Focus on what the child can do. No, imagine kung yung principal mo lahat mali sinasabi sa iyo, pero sinasabi sa iyo, Julia, na very creative ka, 'di ba? It will build your self-efficacy. Yes, next slide. Now we go to 3 strategies. Okay, next slide. What are these 3 strategies? Management, attention, and emotion. Mission through problem-based or project-based learning, and through Marcos steps. Next slide. Management. Extraordinary productivity is not about time management. Di ba? Tagal-tagal na, I want to manage my time. Hindi na pala yan ngayon. No? Extraordinary productivity is about managing your decisions, your attention, and your energy. So, for example, kanina binabasa ko yung time block. Time block. So, ano ba yung block na yan? Hindi lang yung calendar. No? Block means you focus on that particular task with your full attention. No? Nakapatay yung phone, nakapatay lahat. Kasi sabi mo, 30 minutes, kailangan ko tapusin ito. No? So, hindi yan time management kasi yung kahit na sabihin mo 30 minutes, pero yung attention mo naman kung saan-saan. No? Tapos yung energy mo rin. That means yung flow, no? You focus your energy, you focus your attention on finishing a particular task for 30 minutes or 20 minutes. Okay, next slide. So the first is to teach students to manage their attention and to manage their emotion. So that means we need to be mindful, na teacher, parang nalulunod na po ako sa information. Imagine if our students can give feedback like that. Teacher, kagaya ng student ko, teacher kasi, miss, kasi we cannot complete the assignment because we are worried about that. Miss, there's a quiz and so like that. Also, we need to teach students to manage their attention and manage their emotion, just to be mindful of what is going on and what are they feeling. The second strategy is about mission. Research shows that when our students are, sabi nila, woke generation. Agree ba kayo dyan? No, agree ba kayo dyan na woke generation ang ating mga estudyante? Alam nila yung nangyayari sa mundo, and so they want to participate. They want to make a difference. So the second strategy is mission. The results of the study support the idea that project-based learning has a positive influence in students' motivation and is able to enhance their cooperation skills as well. So it motivates students when they focus on a project instead of like parang chapter 1 ganito, module 2 ganito, no? Next slide will be video. Yeah, kindly play that video on project-based learning.
Boys and girls, what is inside of this bag? Air. You are going to see convection at its best.
Now that we are a STEAM school, using project-based learning as our primary instructional strategy, we see our students exceeding at the highest levels. They're interested in what's happening in the world. They're interested in their own learning and how they're going to apply that.
So here at Charles Drew Charter School, we are a STEAM school with the emphasis on science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. Our kids not only get the regular curriculum, but they also have classes like science lab with me, robotics, engineering, art, chorus, band.
This is called a
I'm taking dance and orchestra right now.
I like technology too.
I like science, and I like to learn about how things work.
Well, for us, project-based learning and STEAM can't really be separated.
Instead of teaching these skills and these disciplines in isolation, we collaborate and work together. Our students are making connections between these disciplines.
We know that the careers that are going to be available are in STEAM fields. We use project-based learning to help our students to be successful in those careers.
Project-based learning is not just creating a project. It is not teaching theme units. It's solving a problem. The project is a product that students create in order to solve a problem. It's a project that needs to have an audience and needs to have a lasting impact.
So across the entire building, teams collaborate to plan project-based learning instruction.
So ideally, what we're going to do is look at these essential elements.
We focus on one project-based learning unit that integrates all of the subject areas each quarter. The teachers work together to look at their standards, look at what's relevant for our students, what's happening in the world, and design a driving question.
I like it a lot because there's like one question, one big picture. I like big pictures, but I also like that you can like ask little questions within the big question.
A big standard in third grade is teaching about heat. We wanted to see if students could figure out a problem within their community that they could solve using heat. We immediately thought of a snowpocalypse. Heat played an important role, whether it was related to the weather or how Atlantans coped.
There was just coldness and snow and ice, and so heat plays a really good part to keep us warm.
We eventually arrived at the question of how can we better prepare for Atlanta's changing weather.
We went in this direction because we knew that it affected a lot of their families, it affected our school.
My students researched the event. I brought in some community members to just share their stories.
We had so many people stranded. We had students who were on the bus 10, 11 o'clock at night. And we was trying to contact parents just to let them know where their child was.
They couldn't believe some of the stuff they heard, and that to me was this very organic way that they arrived at this problem and this feeling of, I want to do something about it.
We are going to be thinking of some ways to help Atlantans better prepare for weather like this.
The teachers.
Okay. What's your takeaway from the video on PBL? Anyone using PBL already? All right. So I use problem-based learning. I use project-based learning. And in my university, I teach English. We only focus on 4 major outputs. No, problem solution evaluation essay, advocacy material, presentation to partners, reflection. Only 4 major targets. So if you can focus on the 4, on just a project for the whole, and collaborate, that will save you a lot of time. That will also help students to engage and connect. Bakit ba? But connected pala yung mga topics sa math, social studies, and so on. So management of attention and emotion, mission. The third will be micro steps or learning strategies. Next slide. All right. I love this quote. Small habits don't add up. They compound. That's the power of atomic habits. Tiny. That's why micro, tiny changes, remarkable results. So imagine the one that helped me survive the lockdown was just exercising 15 minutes every day, like every single day. And also those are tiny, tiny changes. Next slide. So teach micro steps. So how do you teach micro steps? So set a very small learning goal. As a burnout survivor, I learned the importance of rewiring my brain by just setting a very small goal. For example, I will just wake up, I will put on my shoes, go outside and exercise for 50 minutes. Ganun lang, Set a small goal. Leverage on group efficacy. PBL encourages group learning together, And then list the baby steps. So students are overwhelmed, so I enumerate step 1, step 2, step 3, and do not give paragraphs, and divide it into chunks, divide it into like small parts. Okay, next slide. So reflection. What micro steps can you please type in the chat? I am almost finished. This is the third to the last. What micro steps will you take to be a literacy champion for struggling readers? So I shared the shifts, I shared insights from research, I shared 3 strategies, but what is a very small step? A very small step. So Emily, thank you so much. Teaching integration for Emily, introducing PBL at a young age. Ay challenging daw but rewarding. Yes, thank you so much for that. Peer learning. Yeah, I love peer learning. Flore, thank you. Make small groups, Alma. Yes. Make reading purposeful. I love what Helen said. Yes. The reading drill. Yes, everyday spelling activity. Next slide. Thank you for interacting. the way forward. Yes. And what do we do next? So I will post the link to the FB page of Join the Read to Progress movement. So the goal is to help you, no? It has 6 aims: shift the focus from reading to reading literacy. So now I'm sure you already learned that. Create a systemic and balanced reading assessment. Use assessment data for creating multi-tier plan for reading. Create can-do statements. I hope we can do that in our next project. Embed growth mindset in the reading programs and focus on reading literacy. Next slide. I love this quote from Arundhati Roy, and she says that historically pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next, and we can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our data banks and dead ideas. Or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world. So can you type in the chat, are you ready to reimagine or imagine another world and to use this pandemic experience to do things differently? Next slide. So I would like to leave you with these blessings. May you live a life of ease. I know that your job is so complicated, but I want my blessing for you is that you will live a life of ease. May you reimagine new ways of connecting with your students. May you be safe, strong, and healthy, and may you rediscover your why so you can champion literacy. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for sharing, for typing your comments. Back to the host.